Welcome to Evil Fest. That's right, Evil Fest. Why Evil Fest? Because 30 years ago yesterday, Evil Ernie #1 was unleashed to an unsuspecting world in comic shops across the globe. And to celebrate this momentous occasion, we have gone through the coffin vault and unearthed treasures for your pleasure. Gonna bring on the one and only Julian the Hooligan to run this MF. And while he does that, I'm going to be providing some color commentary on the goodies that we are about to hit you in the face with. Take it away, Julian.
Hi, Brian. How are you? Thank you for joining me today.
I am great. Thank you for having me, Hooligan.
It's so exciting. Everybody, how often can a creator say on his birthday his creation came out? I don't know of any, so bravo to you, sir. That was pretty cool.
That was wild.
Looking up the information, and I said, oh, November 30th. You're like, wow, I turned 30 that day. It was like, well, look what happened 30 years later. We're still talking about the character when others have gone away into who knows. And I'm just excited to be here. It's great to be part of Coffin Comics. And I got some really cool stuff for you guys. And I'm going to start off with the crazy big things. Like, I'm just going to go here and say, bam, comic career, 1990.
Wow. Okay, so what people are looking at here, comic career newsletter, this magazine, along with Comic Buyer's Guide, is the magazine that I place full-page advertisements in to locate an illustrator for Evil Ernie #1. So, yeah, I don't know if you could open it and show people, but
yeah,
by that time, I was working with Eric Mache and had developed the look of Evil Ernie sufficient enough, actually kind of perfected his look, and we're able to use that in advertising. And the one thing that's lost to time is whether ultimately Stephen Hughes, or rather Craig Storman and Stephen Hughes, answered the ad from Comic Buyer's Guide or from Comic Career Newsletter. But check it out, folks.
There Boom. It is.
Full page ad.
The Evil beginning Ernie. Of everything right here.
It's the truth. Death, destruction, chaos. Some guys will do anything for love. Wanted, penciler and inker for Evil Ernie comic book series. Yep.
So this is the one, everybody. This is the Holy Grail. I was shocked. Of course, Brian's completist, so he has just about everything in his office and stuff. When he brought these to me, I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
I tried when we knew Evil Fest was coming up. I went and dug through one of our many rooms, which I dubbed the White Room. So someone's asking, so are these from your own archives, Brian? Hell yeah, they are.
They are.
Yes, they are, Fiend Boy. They are from my archive. True story.
Yeah, so this is all from Brian's private thing. I haven't even been in the White Room. I've only seen it from afar. So I don't even know what's in there.
You know how the song goes, man. It goes, in the White Room with black curtains in the sunshine.
I have Comic Shop News 232 and 305. Whoa.
Now, what's neat about those is those were the Comic Shop News is a weekly news magazine, and that beautiful Evil Ernie 1 cover by Eric Mache was featured. Boom. And the same thing when Evil Ernie the Resurrection came out. That image is by Joe Quesada and Jimmy Palmiotti.
Back when they were still doing indie books, I believe.
Yeah, even pre-indie. Yeah, right. I met those guys. We all just were doing cons in Southern California when we became pals.
Now, knowing what you do, did you ever think Joe Quesada would become Joe Quesada?
Yeah, those guys. I mean, he was always an enormous talent. Yeah. I didn't know that he would become editor-in-chief, but I've always felt that Quesada, he's such an enormous talent, particularly on covers.
Yeah.
I put him up there with the top 5 cover artists of all time in terms of design. His designs are remarkable. You know, did I know that he become probably the longest running creative editor-in-chief of Marvel? No. But,
wow.
But yeah, I knew I was in the presence of someone who was enormously talented.
Well, here's another thing that Brian dropped off. I haven't seen these in a while. These are the Evil Ernie cell sheets.
So these cell sheets were also made by Malibu Graphics, and there's a front and a back to it. And these would be sent out in large quantities to all the comic shops so that they could read about it and decide whether they would order it or not. So you're looking at the back of the cell sheet and the front of the cell sheet. And these are, that was once near mint, and now it's very good.
Well, thank God I'm in a clean room with lots of carpeting.
There you go. That's true.
Now, so, what used to be, I remember this stuff getting put into my comic bag every week I went to the shop. You would get all this stuff, and most people would just throw it away. I kind of wish I didn't throw mine away, because I had a lot of this stuff, and it's like, well, who knew?
You know, at one point, Hooligan, I had 1 to 5 boxes of Evil Ernie #1, but I would purchase them wholesale from Malibu and then sell them in an effort to kind of spread the word. So they served their purpose. You know, I personally turned down thousands of people to Evil Ernie. But of course, we all kind of look back in the context of time and say, it'd be really nice to have a case of those Evil Ernie ones.
Yeah, nowadays it's crazy. Now, here's the last thing you gave to me, and this blew my mind. This is Evil Ernie Returns, the script. And it is signed by Mr. Pulido, and it's got one of the really old school COAs from Coffin Comics.
Yeah, we in the late 90s, during the Chaos run, we started making, because of demand and request, to make our scripts into these cool script books. I think you did something like 10 or 12 of them.
Yeah, there's no art in it. It's just straight text. But it's neat because you get to see, it pretty much looks like a film script. It's like, okay, here's what I'd like to see here. Here's the dialogue. Here's what the facial expressions are. It's neat to see something like this because you don't see comic scripts often, I find.
Yeah. No, you're right. And, you know, I see that there are a lot of people on the chat and there's room for comments. If anyone had any questions about the making of Evil Ernie or anything, feel free to hit me back. And hello to Bob, James, Jay Taylor, Brian, Ace Bonnie, Chris Brooks, Doug, Jason, Bloodlust.
All right, here's a couple of things.
Hi there. Thank you so much, Bloodlust.
I have here Flux Magazine #1, which did an article about Lady Death and all things the triple threat. She's in there, as is Vampirella. I remember this magazine for a while. It was like there was some really great magazines covering all things geek, games, comics, combining them all. And I really like this magazine. I wish it stuck around a little longer.
Yeah, and that's a fun cover because it was a jam. Stephen Hughes obviously did Lady Death, and then Bill Tucci, my pal, did She. And if I'm remembering correctly, that looks like Caesar did Vampirella.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I got one here. I run across one of these last year and put it up on eBay, and it got gobbled up really fast. And then I also have Evil Ernie Series 2 glow-in-the-dark chrome cards. Now, that being the 90s had the best gimmicks in comics and cards, you combined 2 out of the 3 that like embossed and stuff like that. Was it fun to create stuff like this where you combine like not just chromium, but let's make it glow-in-the-dark chromium?
That was amazing. So that technology became available, and we were the first to use it. Yeah, combining baking the glow-in-the-dark inside the chromium. And it doubles the complication because obviously we have the beautiful art, but we had to provide screens and direction for every image for the glow-in-the-dark element. But certainly it was real fun. That particular series, which was series 2, it's a lot of fresh art at the time. It was just a hoot. Yeah, I personally art directed those. I personally managed contacting all the artists, getting them through pencil, ink, color, getting them in. I personally wrote all the backs, all that stuff. So yeah, I was very hands-on for that. I art directed and made sure all the glow-in-the-dark effects were neat. So yes, it was. I loved that project. A lot of fun.
Was it hard to find a card company that would let you be so hands-on? Because I would figure most companies would have been like, no, we're doing it.
You know, it's fascinating. That particular company called Chromium Graphics, I guess, just recognized that we were all about it, that I was all about it, and they actually gave me a ton of freedom. So we had struck a comprehensive deal for, we had done, gosh, I don't know how many sets we did with them, but with Lady Death and obviously Evil Ernie, I think we did a bunch of each. And they gave me total freedom. We just agreed on the design, overall design of the set. I think it was 99 base cards, and then our checklist and our chase. And then after that, it's just up to me to kind of, they gave me a date and I sent, you know, got it all done by then. So it was actually very fascinating. In most of the licensing arrangements in the 90s, I got complete creative control until we did the anime. And with the anime, the latest animated, it was the first time it was like a slap in the face, because once I fulfilled my contractual obligation on the latest animated, they really didn't want me to have anything to do with it. And it was so strange to be separated from the creations, and, you know, for what real reason, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's like, well, I mean, you work in film. You could be really adding to the whole process of the film, I would think.
Well, even in terms of marketing, it seems illogical that they wouldn't include us in their latest news and press releases. But whatever, that's what it was. I see Matthew Thompson has a question. How did you come up with Price and the Young Family? I'd love to answer that question. So, you know, I created Evil Ernie in 1988, and I really adored buddy movies. So that could include Trading Places, Lethal Weapon series. And so when I saw Dr. Price and Mary Young, I wanted to make contrasting characters. So Price was sort of gruff, conservative, gun-toting, and Mary Young was like young, effervescent, hopeful. Price was cynical. She was optimistic. And that gave me a chance to really have them be contrasting. And then the reason I introduced the Young family is I wanted an extension of, I guess, I think the movie Adventures in Babysitting came out. I like that family dynamic, honestly. And I thought it would be neat to, in this story in the beginning, you see Evil Ernie versus Price and Mary, but then by the third act, it kind of whips back and becomes hyper personalized, because Mary essentially is the surrogate mother of her brothers and sisters, and Evil Ernie decides that he's going after them in particular. So that was some of the reasons why I created all those characters.
That's pretty awesome. All right. Continuing with the classics. These were found in a box by me,
Wow.
along with some other of the Necro prints. And these things have been rolled for probably 2.5 decades.
Yeah.
So Monday I did the Purgatory ones. Here is the Necro sketch 1 signed by Jerry Beck and 2 signed by Jerry Beck.
Wow.
And these are available right now.
Wow, those are really cool. Yeah, both by Jerry. They were done specially for our I think they were done for Fiend Fest back in the late.
Oh, wow.
See here, another question. Mr. Goat, we heard a rumor along the lines of, let's see here, would you die for me? Asked Fran, and Brian answers the real question is, would you kill for me? And the storyline was woman true. I am sorry to say that is not true. This is what happened. I had written Evil Ernie as a screenplay called Psycho Night, if you could believe it, and really bad name, and I changed it to Evil Ernie. And Lady Death wasn't even in the story. And I had gotten my screenplay to a development executive in Hollywood who gave it a read, who was very kind to give me a call and a critique. And she said that my killer lacked any motivation. And I had to listen to what she said. And I went back and I began the journey of rewriting Evil Ernie by giving him a motivation. Somewhere along the line, I recalled the notion behind every great man is a great woman. And I started to develop a female romantic interest for Evil Ernie, his idea of an idealized woman. And that began the journey of Lady Death. So it really came from that. And then Steve, thanks for the belated birthday wish. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Excuse me. All right. I have here Evil Ernie 0 signed by Brian Pulido and Jason Jensen. And it has one of the old school COAs on the back.
Oh, that's cool.
That's one thing I miss is COAs. I'm glad that we do them. I don't see a lot of them. I remember shops and everyone had their own brand. and that kind of fell to the wayside around the 2000s.
I guess I've always loved certificates, man. You could tell. I mean, we have reams of them. That Evil Ernie Zero is really a lot of fun. I struck up a friendship with Greg Capullo, and you will notice that strange click back again. But there was Greg Capullo did the cover. I think it was inked by Mark McKenna. And I think Greg Capullo, whenever he contributed covers through the years, it's super, super strong. I don't know that clicking noise we're hearing is someone typing, but we are hearing a clicking noise.
Yeah, I'm hearing it too on my end. We apologize, folks, but the internet.
The internet. So another question I'm seeing, I don't know if I'm cutting in too much, Hooligan.
It's all right.
How many iterations did it take to produce the final Smiley? And that's a great question. We have actually the real life genesis of Smiley on display inside the Brian Pulido archive. But I will say on it that the Smiley was definitely based very simply on the normal smile button. I think subconsciously I had some influence from Watchmen. And I took that original smile button and gave it some angry eyebrows. And that began the journey of Evil Smiley really flowering into this kind of unknowable, interesting character.
Well, one thing I liked about it, I had 2 Smiley buttons back in the day. One got stolen, the other one broke, and it was impossible to find replacements for those things. I mean, I would have people come into Atomic Comics when I was working there and always asking Smiley buttons of the old school flask you guys did back in the day and stuff like that. It's just like, yeah, you can't even keep that stuff in stock, and you could never reorder it from Diamond because it was always out.
Yeah, it was always, it was interesting. We'd offer stuff, we'd get good initial sales, but it was always a surprise to everybody. People never ordered enough. And the typing continues. Very strange. So yeah, I don't know. Let's see here. Some people still have their Smiley buttons. That's nice.
Wish I did.
Yeah. I have some too.
We got a couple remarks Brian did for us. One for
neat.
The Pieces of Me story and Evil Ernie Resurrection, covered by Joe Quesada. So you and Jimmy are still close. You guys still talk and do shows together. I saw you see.
Yes.
You guys both came up around the same time, if I remember correctly, because she was coming out pretty much after Lady Death. There was the
3 weeks to a month. Yeah, I mean, as the story goes, Billy and I remain close. Yeah, we're just pals. I mean, you meet people and you just connect. The press dubbed what we were doing the Bad Girl Craze, and then it became the Bad Girl Craze, and we've stayed pals ever since. And yeah, she came out about 3 weeks later. But the longer story is, Billy and I met. I think I started getting out my first Evil Ernie, and I was promoting at San Diego Comic-Con. And Billy was coming around simply showing his portfolio to people. And he will tell you that he just wasn't getting a lot of respect from the majors. But when he came around to us, there was an instant connection. I took his samples, and coincidentally, I still have his samples from that time, and instantaneously hired him for a pinup. I think we were doing either a lingerie or a pinup book. And we stayed in touch. And I told him, I was like, because I didn't know better, I was like, dude, just do your own company. And I don't know if that lit the fire or not, but Billy started getting like fired up about publishing his own stuff. And that's exactly what he did. And pretty much in the face of not knowing a thing, like me, and prevailed. So yeah, big up to Billy Tucci and she.
Billy Tucci's the man. All right, another remark I have is the Evil Ernie's Returns #1. This is remarked by the one, the only Brian Pulido. And then this was a fun find. This is a trifecta signature. It has Brian's, Jason, and Stephen Hughes on both of these. And in my personal collection, I included old school Chaos Comics.
Oh, wow.
These are from my personal collection. I was like, you know what? these are the trifecta on both of them. They should each get a classic COA. So
yeah, those are cool COAs. They're called Creator of Chaos COAs. So they're from back in the day.
all right. So it's hard to find Evil Ernie stuff here because, you know, we've been selling it for years, and Evil Ernie, a lot of our old stock is what founded Coffin Comics. And I went ahead and decided I'm going to sell my all of my Chaos stuff and present it on the Catacombs. And that's where we came up with the idea of the Evil Ernie Fest or Evil Fest today. So I threw in story arc sets of the Lady Death Monthly series.
Nice.
So it's issues 1 through 4 of the Wicked Ways. So that is available. I also have in the Harrowing series, including the variant cover of number 5 is included.
Mike Diodato.
Mike Diodato. So you get the complete arc plus the variant inside of there. And of course, here we go, 9 through 12 of the Lady Death Monthly series. And the final arc, Inferno, 13 through 16, is in here as well. That's the one thing I noticed different from your publishing in Chaos is you guys really didn't do a monthly series until way later in the game. You were mostly just doing series of miniseries.
Yeah.
Why was it your guys' publication plan was to do miniseries before just doing all-out monthlies?
Well, I mean, the miniseries sort of occurred to me as like a complete story, not unlike a motion picture. So 1 to 4 issues would tell that story, take a little break, give people a chance to read it, and then maybe bring another one if people demanded it. And what had happened was it came to a point, I believe, where people wanted everything on a monthly basis. And so we acquiesced and we did that. But I think our heart and soul really was in the miniseries because I think it just allows you to tell a complete story, take a break, and then move on. And, you know, for me, even creatively, to kind of recharge the creative juices. Now, I want to quickly jump over and answer a couple questions. Eric Hart is saying, what is preventing me from retaking the rights to Evil Ernie? Eric, let me be clear. I have no ownership of Evil Ernie since August of 2002. There is no retaking. Someone else owns it. They don't want me involved. I wouldn't want to be involved. And so that's the complete story. There's nothing more to say on the topic. David Bounce is right. I think that clicking was from the Ghost of Smiley. And then, is there any chance of getting Evil Ernie back? I see 0 chance of getting Evil Ernie back. And I see 0 chance of the publisher wanting my participation. And I do know that today they have a new Evil Ernie #1 out. And I have personally read it. Have any of you read it? And do you have an opinion? And let's move on.
All right. Let's go with, speaking of Lady Death miniseries, this is the Rapture 1 through 4, complete story.
Oh, great.
And then here's another cool one. I remember this, and this event was great. I wish I had more, but this is Judgment War, and it's the Prelude 1, 2, and 3, and the number 3 variants. This was a big event for you guys. I remember everything was coming to a head.
Yeah, that was 13 comics, yep. 13 weeks. The Armageddon storyline all had to come out in sequence, and we did it. You know, it was our Crisis on Infinite Earths. And I think, Julian, your mic is off.
My mic is off?
Now it's on. Now it's on.
Oh, okay. Sounds like there's a mouse running around in a wheel in the background, too. All right, next up, this is a 6-book set. 6-book set of Lady Death and Vampirella.
Nice.
So you have Lady Death Vampirella. You have Lady Death Vampirella Dark Hearts. Lady Death Vampirella 2 are in here. Lady Death, or Vampirella Lady Death Revenge. Vampirella Lady Death The End. And I figure why not throw in a little Vengeance of Vampirella Ash Can.
Nice.
Ash cans are freaking awesome.
I love the ash cans that we do.
Yeah, they're great.
I have a lot of fun banging those out, man.
Well, it's neat learning that I never knew the history of what ash cans were. I thought they were just a modern tool. And then as I got more involved in older books, I discovered, oh, there's actually a reason for that. And that's for straight up publication and copyrights and what have you. So I'd love to see something from the 40s. I've seen articles where they exist, but you never see anything of them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that'd be kind of fun to track down. I've seen them on rare occasion.
Mm-hmm.
Here comes Mr. Clickback.
Click, 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 click.
Ghost of
All
Snow.
right. How about Evil Ernie Youth Gone Wild Director's Cut? This is the closest I have to anything original from the original series.
That's
But
a really
still,
cool.
great.
It's a really cool book, and there's a lot of effort that went into it. And what it does is it takes a very, very deep dive into that particular Evil Ernie storyline.
It's neat because all the little information and all the process of get things started and the cool photos. It's neat to go look back at that stuff and be like, wow, it just seems like, the beginning of everything. And it's weird. Comics have been around for so many decades, but it seems like the 90s really just stimulated it more and brought it more to the forefront. It no longer was considered a secret hobby. It became like, now it's cool to have comics around.
Yeah. I see Mr. Goat asked a question. If Chaos Comics had kept going, what plans did you have for Evil Ernie? Always wanted to know. So here's the thing, Mr. Goat. I totally know where it was going for years and years on end. And what I will say is that I was going to have two parallel story tracks. One was going to be Evil Ernie's present post-Armageddon. And then the other track would be a flashback storyline that took a look at different times in Evil Ernie's undead life. And one of the first storylines I had plotted was called Disaster Piece. And it was about a family escaping Manhattan during the utter zombie outbreak. Because remember, Evil Ernie's zombie outbreak began in New Jersey, but this storyline would talk about the outbreak moving into Manhattan and this family trying to survive it. Very, very close quarters to Evil Ernie. And in that particular story, it's as if Evil Ernie and his undead horde become like an ecological disaster. And we're really following people trying to survive this thing. So the portrayal of Ernie becomes this otherworldly, super menacing thing, because he is. If you read the story over the course of 52 issues, Evil Ernie spread an undead horde throughout the world and ultimately caused World War III. But the outbreak began in a town called Long Branch, New Jersey, which is 54 miles south of Manhattan. And one story that I never got into was the fall of Manhattan. And boy, did I want to tell you guys that one. And the quote unquote present post-Armageddon Evil Ernie premise, I'm not going to say a thing because maybe one day I'll use this story archetype, but I think it was a fitting epilogue and post-Armageddon career for Evil Ernie. And it's sad I never got to tell that story, but it was very, very juicy and still remain the characteristics that people like about the character. Ultra violent, dark, horrific, pitch black, dark humor. But some things I kind of like to keep to myself. So the stories are there and I was ready to tell them, but I don't think they'll ever be told.
I like how when you describe things in your story, it's juicy. I just picture it's like, oh, flesh just getting ripped out and just spurt, spurt, spurt. That's juicy. All right. Now, here's one character that people would always talk about, and you never really saw a lot of her, but here's her 3-issue series, Lady Demon, right here, available now. Issues 1, 2, and 3. What brought on Lady Demon? What was the thought process in creating her?
I think in the story, if I remember correctly, although Lady Death is a dark character, this even darker aspect started to form. And in the storyline, Lucifer was always trying. Lucifer was capricious. He was near immortal. So simple things like winning didn't mean anything to him. So his real challenge with Lady Death, or hope, was to take an innocent and corrupt her soul. and always try to pull her over to the dark side. And he simply did that, I don't know, the way a cat plays with a mouse. And so he very, very much was trying to pull out her dark side. And Lady Demon wound up becoming an expression of that.
Nice. Would that character ever be allowed to make an appearance again?
No, any character that went on to have its own comic book with the trademark on it became a property of Chaos Comics overall. So characters like Cremator, that's why you don't see him. So the answer is no.
All right, well, here's some fun merchandise from that era. How about the Chaos Comics Magnet Set 1, just in time for Christmas?
Hell yeah, let's do that.
Holiday thing, including that amazing Jim Ballant Lady Death image. That is absolutely stunned. I got two of them right now. And I was so happy, I got another Magnet Set 2 available too. And these are all signed by Brian. These are from his personal archives, like he said earlier in the day. What am I talking in the show? It's been a long day already. All right, so I got something fun. Speaking of trading cards, how about the Evil Ernie Necro set? This is all 6 cards, signed by Brian. This is the chase set from Evil Ernie Series 2, I think it was.
Yeah, that looks about right.
And here is the Coming in May Chaos Comics foil card signed by Brian. Got a couple of those available for you. Chaos Comics Lady Death promo card 1 signed by Brian. Found one of those. And this was an interesting one. This is Lady Death Night Gallery embossed card. So it's a foil and embossed, so you actually can feel Lady Death's body in small form. And this was neat. I've always heard people talk about chase cards. The first chase cards I saw was this one, was getting everything pieced together. This is Lady Death Dark Alliance autograph card by Brian. That was kind of neat to find. I was like, there's an autograph card.
Yeah, those are cool.
So yeah, really beautiful art. One thing I will say, the trading card market was just doing some radical stuff in the 90s. And it's interesting to see that it's making a comeback. Although I noticed they're not going way overboard on the production end of these types of cards. They're kind of keeping them limited so they're more collectible, it sounds like. All right. Here's a Evil Ernie Chromium Card 5 signed by Brian. I got about 4 of those available for you guys today. This was really happy to fall in my lap. I was bummed I didn't have the comic to go with this, but this is the Evil Ernie Destroyer promo card.
That's a cool image.
That's a great image. And also Evil Ernie promo cards. I have 10 of them. And this is a promo card for number 1.
Can you lower that, please?
Oh, sorry.
Perfect. There you go. That's a good one.
10 of these, all signed, and with the phrase of "die" on each one. So, Brian, thank you very much. I was wondering, what are you doing there, Brian? Speaking of Smiley, this is a good one. This is Chromium card number 3, signed by Brian.
A little lower, please.
From the Glow in the Dark Chrome series.
Just a little lower, please.
Yep.
Good, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fun.
That's
I see
great.
David Balance is referring to the Chrome Production Holo Foil trading cards, which I think was Series 3. These guys did these crazy variants. I don't know if anyone could mathematically figure out the levels of complexity of that chase program. I'd like to go back and just say that I know some people they're making suggestions of me doing like some sort of knockoff Evil Ernie cousin or sister. And you got to understand that it's really not about that for me. But what I would tell you is that Evil Ernie harbored a certain sort of energy for me as a writer and creator. You know, the gleeful, maddening, insane, ultra-violent, and strange wry humor, the romance, the complete over-the-top quality. And I don't see that in comics. And I certainly do not see that in how the current owners do their work. So I have created a character that we intend to spin off into his own series, and his name is Mad Mike. Now, Mad Mike has made an appearance this year already in 2 of Lady Death's chapters, and I think you will find him to be completely original. You'll notice his hands glow with a cool energy, and on his shoulder is his pal Ratso. And I have already outlined his series. I think you're going to find it different than Evil Ernie. Certainly, they are 2 different characters. But what you might find similar is the energy, the gleeful, madcap, over the top, insane ultra violence, wild ideas, crazy, actiony horror. So keep your eyes peeled for good old Mike. And Mike's already been occupying my mind for the last couple of years. So he's a fun guy. Mike Morg. Yep, Mike Morg.
All right, now this is the weirdest piece you gave me so far. This is a chromium proof card from an Evil Ernie series, and it's got Lady Death, Evil Ernie, Chastity, and I see the Frankenstein monster, the Wolf Man, Dracula in the background, and it's a negative image.
Yeah, maybe go back like 1 foot. There you go. Maybe tilt it a little forward because you get reflectance. Yeah, that's a proof that was produced by Chrome. That's one of a kind. It's really unusual.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I was like, I didn't know they did proofs for that kind of thing. I figured they just have the image, they print them out however they print them on the sheets and cut away. And then I figured these would be fun. These are old booth cards from San Diego Comic-Con 2010.
Oh, neat.
2011. I did the research to make sure I got the right years.
Yeah, and sometimes they have a little information about that stuff in the back.
Yeah. And then this one was neat. This is from Baltimore Comic-Con, and I threw in Ivan Reyes's booth card that was with yours. So these are together as a set. And then the one comic place I've always wanted to go, I'm a little jealous you were there, is the Mile High Comics main card. I was like, oh, you were there. It's one shop in all the world I'd love to check out.
Oh boy, it's so big, dude. It's like 20 or 30,000 square feet. It's just immense. I just saw Evil Animosity wants to know more about Mad Mike. And here are the 2 comics that Mad Mike appears in. So Lady Death chapter 13 and chapter 14. That's where he makes his first appearance. I got to tell you, I think he's pretty cool, if you ask me. Let me see if I can find a quick Mad Mike page for you. Whoops, it's in here. Yeah, Love Mike wants people to see more of him. Here is a cool page, Mike page, where you learn a little bit about him. He's from New Jersey.
Yeah.
Right on.
Well, that's pretty much everything I got. Brian, thank you for spending an awesome 40 minutes with me here on the Catacombs. Congratulations on your 60th birthday.
Thank you.
Congratulations on 30 years publishing and taking it to a whole new level. Really proud of you, and I'm very happy to be working with you here.
Well, thank you so much, Hooligan, for everything. I want to answer one more question before we go. See here, we have Stephen Platt needs to do Mad Mike. I'm good with that. He's great. And someone says, Jay Taylor, thank you so much. I loved all your kind words yesterday, Jay. That was quite sweet of you. And then Mark is asking, who's my favorite, Evil Ernie or Lady Death? And that's a crazy question, because how could you pick your favorite child? It's interesting. I relate to them as my children. And they are. So it's hard to pick a fave. They have different energies. I see Gary Compton says Mad Mike and Hell Witch. Yeah, that'd be great. Prime One says love you. I say I love you. And then let's see here. Chris says, were the Lady Death embossed covers the inspiration for the sculpted editions? Yeah. I think they might have been, consciously or unconsciously. I've been working with a friend of mine, Jason Fowers, who does the 3D covers on other 3D stuff. And I think just one day in the middle of the night, just my head went bing, 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 bing. It just thought, like, it's all here. We should do it. So sometimes it's hard to say where it all comes from, but I think it was that kind of inspiration. So, Julian, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you
This is
for
the first
being
time
here.
I've worn this Evil Ernie shirt since then. Now it's going back into my archive, one and only, because I ain't promoting something for somebody else no more. I ain't do that.
Well, thank you again. You have a great afternoon. Everybody, thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you for being a part of it, everybody. Just remember, I'm Julian the Hooligan. I'm sworn to you. That was Brian Pulido. We will talk to you all on Monday. We are out. Ooh!